Sorry, everybody. I'm Gavin, junior here. I was just specifically for Mr. Upchurch there. You mentioned correctly that that is the job of the government to promote general welfare, and I was just wondering how would lower the drinking age promote general welfare for, say, like, I don't know, the entire nation?
It also says in that same clause that you're supposed to promote liberty, and there has to be a balance between the welfare of the public and the liberty you're given. The general welfare for every person and every person's individual pursuit of happiness is going to be different based on their own individual needs. And I think it's important that no matter what your opinion is, that you have a right to express it. No matter how you like to enjoy, your life, you should have a right to do that without the government interfering with it. On the 18 to drink issue, it comes down to whether you want to choose responsibility or you want to choose not to drink. There's a small percentage of the population that's going to go beyond responsibility into the realms of irresponsibility. But I'm pretty sure that if we were to ask the body here, would you rather drink and do so responsibly, or would you rather everybody be able to not drink? I'm sure that the general consensus is that we should drink responsibly if we choose to. All right, do you guys agree with that?
You raise a difficult question about the general welfare. I personally am not a big fan of the term general welfare either in the U.S. or state constitution, taken by itself. In reality, the Constitution is supposed to be there to chain the power of government to protect all of our rights. And the Constitution does not specifically enumerate each individual right. There is no right there. Like it says the right to freedom of speech, there is no enumerated right to consume alcohol. It's assumed that you have a right, as long as you don't infringe on someone else and harm them. So I just want to make that general statement that just because it says general welfare, it doesn't give government carte blanche to do anything it desires.
What will prevent a person who consumes alcohol in excess from destroying the right of another individual, destroying the right to life?
Well, I'll answer that in just 1 second. I've actually had a chance to look back at the Missouri Constitution, the clause in it. It says the government is intended to promote the general welfare and then defines that as the natural right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness through enjoyments from their own gains of their own industry. So general welfare is not, it consists of all those things, and those are things that are actually going to be promoted by a lower drinking age. When you take that into its entirety, that clause following included, where that everybody's afforded equal opportunity under the law. And now you were asking about the rights, how it might infringe on people's rights if somebody partakes upon drinking, correct? So the answer to that, that's why we have drinking and driving laws. Drinking and driving, I think everybody here on this panel is consistent in thinking that drinking and driving is wrong, that drinking and driving laws need to be enforced. And I also agree with that. The Missouri 18 to Drink movement is not about, legalizing drunk driving. It's about legalizing, or it's about ending age discrimination. That's what it comes down to.
Are there any final comments any of our panelists would like to make?
Is this time for final remarks?
Yes.
Well, sure.
Again, I think the question was, if you prevent this person doing anything to kill somebody, how do you make it up to that victim? How do you make up for that person? I mean, you can't prevent something once you put something in the brain, says the Lord's judgment, and then say, exercise good judgment. How are you going to coach somebody? As sober people, uninfluenced, and we're trained, we're still going to make mistakes. Alcohol compounds them. So how in the world are you going to train someone to drink and say, all right, now you're only limited to 1 to 2 drinks at a time? That's considered responsible drinking for an adult. But that's going to have to come down for you. And understand, here's NHTSA's, independent insurers, and NIAAA's take on, if you're between a 0.05 and 0.10, 0.05, 0.10, if you're an adult man, you're 9 times more likely to be in a vehicle crash. But if you're a teenage boy, you're 18 times more likely. If you're an adult woman, you're 25 times more likely to be in that crash. And as a teenager, 54 more times to be in that crash at 0.05 and 0.10. Now here's where you need to look and listen very carefully. Does it sound like when there are terrible drivers out there? For every 1 teenage girl killed in alcohol, 2 boys are. Because that's the aggressive drinking spirit of the boy and driver. And so we're putting a lot of that's an adult. Now we take that down lower, that gets multiplied and magnified. Who pays for that kind of stuff? And if some of you thought I was a little bit impassioned, a little bit energetic, I was. Because one thing that no one else on this podium has ever done is reached in the car and had a child beg you to save their life, and you can't. And you look at all the beer that's in that car, float a boat, and it comes from the greed of alcohol industry wanting more sales. Folks, you represent more sales, bottom line. Not about your right, not about your privilege. It's about you're going to make some people a lot of money. And don't ever forget, if you don't believe that, do research, look at it. And you're going to see your money. And when that child asks you, it's too late. His buddy said it was okay to drink. His community said it's no big deal. I work with Drug Watch International. I work with communities not only across the state, but around the world. And it makes all the difference in the world about our attitude. If you think you've got the right to party and someone else has to inherit the consequences, it's not going to get any better. The day you look back behind you, the kids following you, and say, you do have a responsibility, because I guarantee you, at least 5 of them will come to you and think you're great. And they're going to know if you're a partier, and if you are, they're going to do it better than you do. But I work with the kids that don't party, and I see the kids that follow them, and they have a lot more rewards. And I've studied this problem since 1972. I've seen the changes, I've seen the influences. Please, you've got to look at the big picture. Why are people spending money, making organizations to lower the drinking age? I'm not getting paid now. I'll tell you why I'm here. I got tired of burying kids. I lost an older brother at 19 when I was born. I've watched a lot of other children get impaired and have problems on low levels, small amounts of alcohol. And I'm tired of it. Look at the people who want to lower this. If all the smoke screens up, if you follow it, you're going to find big money behind it because it's big profit out in the field. And you know what? Who wants to live in it? Make good choices. Set good examples for those following you because they're going to outdo you whichever way you go. Last thought. I wish you could go to other communities and see how awesome you are about doing this. This is the first time I've seen this turnout on an issue of this young crowd. I am dead serious. You deserve a lot of applause and a lot of congratulations.